Hello, hello, Saggy Joe. So, I lost track of what the hell I wanted to talk about today because I was reading an email thing that I got. However, I just came back from a showing and I'm so glad I gave them a chance because it's actually a lot more beautiful than the other place. I thought the forest was nice, which is true, but the room faces the lake. Sure, I'm paying a little bit more, which is fine. That's life, but it's not that much more from the initial round of the other room, and it's the view so much more beautiful. It's on the lake, quiet community, and it's a little bit of a seniors community, so maybe a little bit boring for a lot of you young ones out there. However, I am past that stage, and I just want something stable. Um, so that was exciting. You don't hear my voice, but that's because I'm gonna be performing soon. We're performing because I'm part of a dance group, and yeah, we're performing soon, and I'm super excited. Um, but I'm also super scared because I don't have a positive mentality about my talents and everything like that. So I just think I'm gonna fail, which is not good to have in terms of mentality. But unfortunately, that's what I have. Yeah, and I think that's life. I think life can get to you in some interesting ways, and it's very unfortunate that stuff that I should have been over with like years ago, I still can't get over. But c'est la vie, c'est la vie. I wanted to make a video shortly on some other thing that's been bothering me recently, and it's like the scientification. Oh, I don't want to call it the certification of basically life and not understanding the process. Let's take music for example. Tusa Violin, they're one of my favorite YouTubers, and they did make a very interesting point when I heard them talk about practice. They said the only way to really find success as a musician is to find joy in practicing, a joy in the process. And I think that can extend to so many different things because with social media, you always think of the results. You only always ever see the results. And while you may be cognitively aware of um, the process, it's never something that you take into consideration. And I think that it's rather unfortunate that we can't see eye to eye on that situation because I think that when it comes down right to it, the process, the results will always vary, and the results will always not be there. And we need to understand why the process works and why people go through with the process, right? When it comes to entertainment, for example, um, I'm gonna go into sports because I've been watching basketball for my whole life, and basketball, the entertainment value has kind of dropped because people don't really understand the process. Um, a lot of players coming now, a lot of the international ones are usually a lot more skilled than the American ones, and a lot of times it's because those European players, it's drilled into their head that they gotta practice certain skills, while American players are more concerned about results. And what you see is a lot of European players. There's a joy to practice that they see. They may not try as hard. They may not um, give it their all. Hashtag Mumble mentality. But they use practice as a way to improve their skills, to understand the flow of their teammates, um, their tendencies. When do they cut? When do they pop? And see how that goes, so that the chemistry is built between players. And I think that when you're really obsessed with a flashy style, you kind of lose that. you kind of lose that understanding of the game, and then the game is not really much of a game, but more of a like a ballpark. Sometimes when I watch the NBA, it's like watching uh semi-pro players just playing pickup basketball at the park. And honestly, at the park, it's a lot more interesting, and it's also free. Watching the NBA just gives me a headache sometimes because I'm not gonna say there's no effort, but the rules have made it in such a way that it makes it so unenjoyable. It's so catered towards offense that there's no way you can play proper defense kind of idea. And I also think that because as fans, as consumers, just want results, we don't enjoy the process of a proper game. We don't appreciate what a good game looks like. We kind of ignore the process, the pick and roll, the pick and pop, cutters, triangle offense, and on defense, 1-3-1 zones. What good health defenders look like, what good health defense looks like. I think we are always obsessed with stats and one-on-one defense. I think it's far more valuable to be a really good team defender than it is to be a one-on-one defender. You really have to stand out as a one-on-one defender because there are a lot of good like the one-on-one defenders, but their value is kind of low because they don't really offer anything else. And I would argue when it comes to one-on-one defenders, I would argue they're not nearly as useful as team defenders and having a team that's good at defending. A great example of this is the Miami Heat. Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler are two of the better one-on-one defenders in the league, but then a lot of their other players that play don't have that same. You just don't have that same skill set. I mean, they're playing Kevin Love a lot of minutes, and he's not exactly a good one-on-one defender. But what makes Bam and Jimmy so good is their one-on-one defense seamlessly blends with the team defense set that they have, and it just works wonders in the playoffs. When games are important and Jimmy actually tries, it's a huge difference in the quality of basketball that's being played, especially on both ends, because a lot of teams have to adapt to exposed stress changes, exposed adjustments, and stuff like that. So I think it's a 3-level threat. The players themselves don't find value in the process, and then they don't find passion and fun in the process because if you're always envisioning a finished product, you'll always get frustrated with the process. You gotta love the process of getting there as well. You gotta love the process of plugging in a bunch of pipes, boring, tedious work. You can call it boring and tedious, but you gotta fall in love with it. When you practice an instrument, you may go over the same passage over and over again, trying to get the best musicality that you can out of that passage. But you gotta find joy in that, because through that struggle, that part of the passage, once you put that all together, you have a beautiful piece. But you will say to yourself, trust me, as someone who used to play music, you're gonna be so proud of that passage. It's like, I fucking love this kind of idea. So, hey, I think that's just something that I wanted to share. Put it out there. Just see what other people have to think about that. I wish I could make a more comprehensive video, but I don't have any time nowadays. It's like 1:35 a.m. and I just came from the gym. I got practice. I performed on Saturday. I got work. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Thank you very much for listening. Later days.